Hey, good afternoon, art heroes. Welcome to From the Art Room Live, right here on Facebook with Mr. Celts. I hope you guys are excited. We're gonna make some art today. We're gonna get creative. I have an example of what we're gonna create today. We're gonna do a beautiful landscape using value color changes today. So we're going to learn some things about color. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to need, we're going to keep things very simple today. You're going to need a piece of paper. This can be just your computer printer paper, just as long as it's, honestly, if you got notebook paper and it's got lines on it, just go ahead and use it. Use what you've got at home. The first thing that I'm going to do with this paper is I'm actually going to cut it in half, and I'm going to fold my paper hamburger style. So for those of you that remember hamburger style, it's kind of like we're folding it to make a book. So we're going to fold it, make sure one side touches the other. If you need someone to help you, grab an adult or an older brother or sister. They can help you. So I'm going to take this paper, I folded it in half, and I folded it really well so I could get a really good line in there. And I'm going to take a pair of scissors. If you got any pair of scissors will do. I'm going to take this pair of scissors and I'm just going to try my best to cut right along that line. It does not have to be perfect by any means. Just try your best and get it really close. I'm just going to cut right along that line and cut my paper in half. The cool thing about doing this is after you finish with your landscape, this first one can actually be your practice one if you'd like it to be. If you make some mistakes or you're not happy with it when you finish, you can get your other piece of paper and you can do a second one, and you can try even harder on your second one now that you know the steps, and you can try to complete it that way. So I've got my paper cut in half and it's ready to go. Now the positioning of my paper, I'm going to make sure that it's long ways like a hot dog. This is called landscape view. Since we're making a landscape, it makes more sense so we have more area to draw our landscape to make it go side to side just like that. So I'm going to move my example out of the way just temporarily. And when we make a landscape, some of my third graders will remember a lot of our landscape terminology. When we make a landscape, we're going to focus on three things. We're going to focus on the foreground, middle ground, and background. So we're going to actually start our landscape today in the foreground, which is the area that's closest to us in our artwork. And this area, my third graders will be able to tell you, is all the way at the bottom of our page. And we're going to use a black crayon for this first step. I'm just going to get a basic black crayon. I want to find the bottom of my paper, and I'm going to create about five trees. And I'm going to start a little bit above the bottom of my paper, and I'm just going to put dots, just small dots, where I want the tops of my trees to be. I'm going to kind of vary them in different places. I'm going to put 3 on this side of my page, and I'm going to move on to this side of the page, and I'm going to draw 2 more little dots, just like that. Those are going to be the top of my trees. Notice, I don't really make them go all the way up on my paper. You could if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep them about that lower half of the page as I make those little dots. So now that we've got our dots set in where we're going to put our trees, I'm going to start by making some diagonal lines from my dots. Diagonal means they slope at an angle. So I'm going to make 2 lines from each dot, and it's going to kind of be like I'm making capital letter A's. I'm going to go ahead and turn these into trees. When these trees go down, I'm going to make sure that they get wider as they go down to the bottom of the page. But I'm just going to make these 2 little overhanging diagonal lines that come in. Then I'm going to bring some more lines down. So I'm going to make 2 lines down, and this time I'm going to make them get wider as they go down. And I'm going to finish this whole tree first. I'm just going to repeat these same steps. I'm going to take my black crayon and color them in. And I'm going to push really hard on my black crayon. Let me go ahead and color all these in nice and dark. I really want to press hard with this. I want these trees to be very dark. I'm going to choose a different color for the second part. I'm going to put some mountains in my picture next. And this is the part where color value is going to come into play. So I've got I'm going to choose some cool colors. Now, I'm only going to use one, but you can choose whichever cool color that you want to choose. I've got a couple here for examples. Cool colors are colors that make up half of the color wheel. So if I show you, I should be showing you an image coming up on your screen very shortly of the color wheel. And it shows, you'll be able to see the warm colors like red, orange, and yellow are all on one side of the color wheel, whereas the cool colors occupy the other half of the color wheel. So you'll have your violets and purples, you'll have your greens, and you'll have your blues on the other side of the color wheel. So I'm going to choose one of my colors. I made mine blue yesterday, so I'm going to choose green today. I'm going to go with green, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to take the color wheel off from the screen so that way you guys can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to create some mountains. I'm going to start low on my page on one side, and I'm going to make mountains, but I don't want them to be all the same. I don't want them to be too pointy like this. I'm going to make one start to creep up here behind my trees, and it's going to come up, and then I'm going to walk the line down a bit. Then I might walk it back up a little bit, and notice my lines are not perfectly straight, and they don't have to be. That's the great thing. The more that you kind of vary these lines, the more like mountains it's going to look. So I've got this in there. And then I'm going to move up my paper just a little bit, put my crayon over here, and I'm going to do another row. Now this time, I don't want it to go exactly the same as my first one, but I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. The way that you make it lighter is just don't press quite as hard with your crayon. I'm going to make these mountains kind of come up, down, and disappear off the side of my page. Alright, and lastly, we're going to go ahead and put one more row of mountains here near the top, but I want to make sure that I save some room for the sky. So I'm going to come up here just a little bit, and I'm going to do another row of mountains. This one's going to start down, come up. Once again, they don't have to be the same, and they don't have to be perfect. Move all the way across your paper. So I've got 3 lines that show different mountains in my picture. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on some color values. The mountains in the bottom part of the foreground of my picture, I'm going to go ahead and color them in, but I'm going to push really hard on my crayon. We're going to go ahead now. We've created this second line for the second row of mountains. So inside this second row, we're going to color it green as well, but we're not going to press as hard this time. We're going to go a little bit lighter. So I'm not going to push down quite as hard. I'm still going to go in small crayon strokes and still in the same direction, but I want there to be a different color value for these mountains. Alright, so we've got our third set of mountains. This time, you guessed it, we're going to push even lighter this time when we color this in. It's barely going to be visible as we color this in, so barely push down, almost nothing at all. Be very cautious, almost like you're afraid to push down with your crayon. And just go ahead and start coloring those mountains into the distance. If you find out that when you're coloring this section, if your middle section still doesn't look that much different, you can go and you can darken up the middle ground a little bit of your mountains to give it more of a difference between the two. So if you need to go back and adjust, you can. I think I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. I'm just barely going over these middle range mountains. because we only have one more thing to do, really, today, and that's finish the sky. And we're going to make the sky really simple. We're going to switch. Now, if you guys remember, I'm going to pop the color wheel back. It should be popping up here any second. Color wheel not only has the cool colors, which we used for our mountains, we're going to switch to some warm colors to give it a color balance to show some other colors that are on the color wheel. I'm going to choose two today. I'm going to use yellow and orange. If you'd like to use red on yours, you can. That's an option for you. I'm going to keep it to yellow and orange and show you how I'm going to create a sun and just some glowing sunlight in the sky. We're going to create an orange circle right up here for the sun, almost like it's getting ready to set over the horizon there behind our mountains. And I'm going to darken it in, and I'm going to color this orange circle really dark. So just go ahead and fill it in. Push kind of hard and fill it in with your crayons. What I'm going to do after I finish that orange circle for my sun is I'm going to switch to my yellow. And this is the part where you may need to spin your paper like this a little bit as we're coloring. This is kind of fun. I'm going to start at the sun, and I'm going to color out, kind of like I have a glow coming around my sun, like this, in short crayon strokes. And I'm going to turn my paper, and I always want my crayon to look like it's going away from the sun right there. So after I finish with that yellow, I'm going to switch to my orange crayon. And I'm going to start right where my yellow was and lightly color some orange right here. Lightly meaning I'm not pressing very hard with my crayon. And I want it to keep on coming out from the sun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap my yellow just a bit. Overlap it and let it change from yellow to orange. And keep on coloring until you run out of room. This is the completed version. I did two. I did one yesterday as well. I'm going to see if I can get both of them on the screen. My screen's kind of small, so I apologize on what I can actually show on my webcam here. And when you guys complete your projects, I would love to see what you guys came up with today. So if you could, make sure that you post a picture of your artwork. You can post it on this page from the art room with Mr. Kelt's page. So thank you all once again for tuning in to hang out with me. It's been a lot of fun. You guys keep up the good work. And I'll see everyone very soon. Take care, everybody.